Today, I'm here to talk to you. Hello, my name is Zephyr. You may know me from Super Smash Bros., Cloud, Little Mac Main. You may know me from Star Tropics, a relatively new speedrunner. Today, I'm here to talk to you about Sephiroth. So, tonight at the Game Awards, December 10th, 2020, Nintendo decided they were going to release a trailer for the third fighter as part of Fighter Pack 2. A lot of people had a lot of theories about it, a lot of people had a lot of hopes, myself among them. The result is one that I always hoped for and never expected: Sephiroth. I am excited beyond belief. I've said multiple times if Sephiroth came out, I would drop Cloud, Little Mac, every other character I play for the most part, and focus on him. That's what will happen. We don't know at this point when Sephiroth will be coming out. There is a video scheduled 1 week from today where Mr. Sakurai will talk about Sephiroth and I'm sure go over some of his moves in general and how he plays and controls, much like we've seen, for all the other DLC characters. But that's a week away. We're here tonight, and I want to delve into this 3-minute trailer and get as much info as I possibly can out of it. This is the first time I've ever done a video like this, so if you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. Give me some tips on what I can do differently. But without further ado, let's dive into this trailer. 1/, as far as we can tell. Banjo, Inkling, Sonic, everybody just gaping because someone has just eradicated everything. And then you hear those first few notes start. As soon as you hear those notes, you know. And I screamed at this point during the initial video. I screamed and I jumped to my feet and I just danced around in a circle. And you can see Cloud's expression here, just the eyes widening, kind of the look of disbelief on his face that yet again his personal demon has come back to haunt him. And disbelief quickly giving way just to anger and frustration. And then just the iconic pan up. Sephiroth with that smirk on his face. Sephiroth descends to battle. Been waiting for this moment. Now I shall give Smash despair. And just such an iconic scene there, mimicking the scene from Advent Children above Midgar, raising his hand and the clouds just swarming in, darkening the sky. So good. So good. And I love this. The recreation of this just iconic pose from Nibelheim, and him just looking up out of the flames, and facial expression, just one like, oh, it would give you chills if someone looked at you like that in real life. We can actually talk about that looking at his character model here. So first off, the amount of detail that's in this model is just great. From the folds in the clothing to all the various buckles and snaps and everything. His hair, the fact that it's not just all one lumpy mass of hair, it's got strands hanging off, but his eyes are what you should really focus on, because those are the eyes of a predator. And when those eyes lock onto you, you are prey and you either freeze or you run. And you can see it so clearly there in his eyes. Okay, so let's look at this. This is the first move that we actually get a look at. Let me try to back it up just a frame. So there we go. So we've got Sephiroth in his, I'm assuming, standing pose here. I'm going to go ahead and play it normal speed real quick. So Snake and then Marth just gone like it was nothing. So from his standing pose, as best as I can tell, that is 1, 2, 3 frames. Now it's possible that this isn't exact, this is still in development and the video's not perfect and playback's not perfect. But that looks like, to me, a pretty fast anti-air. So it's interesting that his sword actually starts off high and comes down level. And then from level actually angles it up. We've seen that with F tilts before for other characters, so they can angle F tilts up and down. Based around that, that leads me to believe that this is potentially an F tilt for him. If so, great range, but great anti-air as well. Really, really good. Be very curious to see if you could angle it down or anything, because that could be used as a good edge guarding tool also. So it's curious here that he's standing, he goes into that swing, but then you see the camera pan around, and Sephiroth turns, and you see he's grabbing his sword with two hands now. And then as Marth dash attacks in, way out of range. Learn your ranges, Marth. Just bam! Hits him square. So this, handle of the blade where it is, it looks like the hitbox might actually extend out even past the blade a little bit. Like, Sephiroth's sword is long, don't get me wrong, but that is insane range for an F smash to hit like that. And you see that he swung primarily with two hands. Let's see if I can advance it another frame or two. So he's got two hands on the blade as he swings. Two hands on this attack says to me it's a little bit more committed, and so I think that's potentially his smash attack. Side smash, specifically. Just the amount of time it looks like it takes him to kind of wind up and swing. Yeah, looks like a smash attack. And you can see there, the edge of his sword is actually in front of Marth. Could be camera angle, could be a trick of the video. But looks like F tilt and F smash there. So now we see him coming up the side of a building, foreside. And there's Incineroar. Poor Incineroar, one of my characters. But you see Sephiroth stabbing his sword into the building. And he hangs there. So this is a lot like Bayonetta and Greninja in the way they can wall cling. Except his actually is really interesting, because it actually keeps him out a distance from the side of the stage. And then a little bit of detail here that I love. So you can see as he goes up, he actually drops down just a bit to get himself momentum. And you see his grip on the sword actually changes. This is a small detail that I just love. He lets go, grabs it with an overhand grip instead of underhand grip, and then propels himself up. And you can see little pieces of the building come loose as he pulls the sword out and goes up. Awesome attention to detail. I love it. Also very interesting that you could use it as a recovery tool. There are plenty of stages that have even pieces of the stage that extend down. So if you can use that to help recover, that's going to be huge, especially because we don't know how his recovery is at this point. The fact that he's hanging further out away from the stage will be interesting. If you have opponents who are throwing projectiles down trying to hit you, that could protect him if his sword is not a hurt box. It could also be worse for him because it takes him out further away from the stage, obviously. So very curious to see how that'll work. Alright, so here we see what looks like a counter. We have all seen plenty of swordsmen in Smash that have counters. What I find really interesting here is just the fact that it comes out kind of this hexagonal shaped counter. It's a very technological looking thing. Not necessarily the kind of thing you'd expect to see from a swordsman. It's like this techno barrier that, when struck, kind of erupts into these beams of light and just blasts the other opponent backwards. A lot of the counters have been more just block with the sword, counter with the sword. This is a lot more technologically advanced, so it's a curious part of his character kit to see that versus just something purely sword based. It looks cool. It's very flashy. It's also a very notable visual indicator. It's very obvious that he's countering here. So if you do it too early, I don't know what the frame window for it is or anything, or his recovery, but looks like you could get punished relatively easy for it. Alright. Clever little bit of editing here, and I love it. Just the creativity. So if you look as he's coming up and before he slashes, you can see that the stage is already technically split in half. and they're just timing it along with this to make it look even more badass than it is. Mission accomplished. It looks badass. I can only assume that this is up air. He's in the air. He's attacking what looks to be upward. What I find really curious here is based on the camera angle, it's hard to see where the hitbox starts and how much horizontal range it covers above him. It looks like it's pretty huge. If you assume that the hitbox starts there as his sword kind of glows and blurs, then that covers well beside him into well behind him. It'll be interesting to see how long the hitbox lasts too. If it fizzles out just above him there, or if it goes all the way behind. That could be a huge up air for catching falling opponents, baiting air dodges. Depending on how that is crazy big. Alright. Goes into the pose. And now, so this is interesting. This looks almost like a Joker side B. Flicks his fingers, and now you have these 3 purple orbs that are kind of orbiting the opponents. It's curious, because you can see the Dark Pit actually lands. He's coming in with what looks like probably Nair by the spinning blade, but it's not until he lands that you see him get hit by this, and then the move itself doesn't do hardly any knockback. He just has these orbs around him now, so I could see how this could be a side B, but I honestly think it's neutral B, neutral special. And I'll kind of touch on that a little bit more later. It's hard to say for sure, but to me at least, it looks like a neutral special. Okay, so let's assume that this is up smash, which it looks like it probably is, unless the prior video was done with clever editing to make an up smash look like an aerial slash. It's got kind of the same blur at the top of it, but his so Sephiroth stays grounded throughout this whole thing. He kind of winds up and then slashes through, and he kind of spins, you see, as he finishes it. In the aerial shot, he actually like full flipped. That's why I think that's an up air. This is up smash. Either way, this up smash, judging by who it's hitting, you see both Corrin and Joker coming in, and it hits both of them. And it hits both of them pretty quickly. There's definitely a little bit of frame lag, like about 4 frames or so between hitting the 2 of them, so it takes time to cover the area, but the amount of area that looks like it covers is pretty good. What I'm looking at here are the shadows on the ground, because again, the camera angle can be deceiving with how much ground it's covering. So if you look at Corrin's shadow in relation to Sephiroth's, it's pretty far away. That's like at least 2 character distance away that's hitting. At this point in time, Joker is about the same distance away, but as the move progresses, you can see Joker's shadow actually come in quite a bit closer. And when it contacts right there, he's actually almost right next to Sephiroth. So this may be something where the initial start of the hit has a much wider range than the end of the hit, which would make sense just based on swords and if you're swinging across your body where it would end. I'll be curious to see just how much range that actually does have. So here we see Link firing an arrow and then just exploding. So my initial reaction when I saw this was, oh, this is some kind of projectile block. It blocks projectiles from firing and it makes the person blow up. And to me, that was insane against a character like Link or Snake that are just so reliant on projectiles that they're going to be shooting them off all the time. I don't think that's the case anymore, though, because if you go back and you watch it kind of slow, you can see Link just initially winds up for the arrow here, but right here you can see that the balls are starting to detonate and he has not released his arrow. And if you go forward a little bit more, all of the balls start detonating, and then right there he's in hit stun and he has not released the arrow. So I think it's actually closer to potentially like the Crash Bomber, where if they don't hit you or something within a certain time frame, it just explodes. Be very interested to see kind of the length, if it can be charged up or powered up, or how much knockback it does. It's the kind of thing you could use to set yourself up for aerial combo opportunities or something. So, very curious to see if this is neutral special, and if it is, what can be done with it. But you see Link just kind of blow up. Beautiful looking stage, reminiscent of the end of Final Fantasy VII, fighting Sephiroth above the life stream, the shattered pieces of the blocks forming the platforms. What is really interesting about this is that based on the platform positionings on either side of the stage, this looks like it could be tournament legal. Obviously, we won't know for sure until we see more of it, but the platforms are different enough from the other platform-like stages, like Small Battlefield, Town and City, Smashville, where you could make a case for this being legal. And the fact that they extend out over the sides of the stage, and that can be huge as far as recovery and mix-up options and everything, and it could really help out characters who maybe don't have the greatest recovery options and struggle to get down. It gives them something to shoot for as far as a platform, or they can fake going for the platform, fall through, and grab ledge instead. So adds potentially a little bit of mix up as far as recovery options and everything. Very similar to what you might see on Kalos as far as the stage positioning, but even a little more so with these extending off the stage. So I'm very excited to see the stage and see if it is legal. You see the high wind coming up here out. I'm assuming that's something that'll kind of play in the background. Very similar to on Hero stage, like the Yggdrasil taking you on the tour and getting the different stuff in the background. I imagine that'll be the same kind of thing. Or like Umbra Clock Tower, where you have stuff happening in the background. I feel like it'll be very similar to that. Oh, when I saw this scene happen, I laughed and screamed. Just Zelda laying there, and then you see the sword come down out of nowhere, and then Sephiroth is there kneeling next to it. So I think this would be his down air. And the main thing I'm curious about as far as his down air goes is whether it's like some of the other fighters, like Corrin or some of the Links, where when you use it, you plunge straight down. Very curious to see that. Given the speed at which we see it coming down, it makes me think it may have that effect of just the plummet straight down. And the fact that you see him land so hard and that shockwave come up. Be very curious to see if that is the case, and if so, if it ends itself, if it auto cancels after a certain length or anything. That could potentially help his landing game be a mix up too, for him to get down more quickly, because we don't know at this point what his other aerial landing options are going to be or how well he'll be able to get down to the ground. So I love that they substituted in Zelda for Aerith here. Yeah, great. So here you see a bunch of fighters, Mewtwo, Sheik, Terry, Chrom, all come in attacking Sephiroth. Mewtwo, forward tilting, and then you get a bouncing fish, and then a forward air from Terry that actually lands, and then a forward air from Chrom that lands. But throughout it all, Sephiroth is jumping backwards. I do not have the words for how awesome this looks. He's just kind of hopping back. And what this looks like to me is that this first move here looks like kind of a short hop backwards. He comes fully off the ground and moves a decent distance, and then it looks like he goes right into a roll animation. And I say that because you see Sheik's bouncing fish whiff there. The only reason that would whiff would be if he's in the first invulnerable stages of a roll animation. But then you see Terry's forward air come in, and that hits. And then Chrom's forward air hits as well. So it looks to me like a short hop back, a roll, and then just a little bit of knockback from the forward air into the Chrom forward air. His knockback animation actually has him lifting his right arm, which is his non-sword arm. He is left-handed. He's actually lifting up his arm to kind of ward off any other attacks as he moves back. But just the fact that his roll is not a roll, potentially. His roll is just a straight dash back. And you see how much ground it covers. Like, he hits, and then it's like, boom. In 3 frames, he's back pretty far. So, kind of a crazy roll. We'll see how well it actually is, in gameplay. But I just like the style that he's showing here, the composure, keep his arm up even as he's getting hit. And now here we come to a really interesting thing. He spreads his one wing because he is the one-winged angel. This is very obviously his character model, and he has his wing out. And now this same thing, you can see that he's actually, this is Captain Falcon whiffing a forward smash. And now you see Sephiroth with the wing out, just stabbing straight down. That looks to me an awful lot like a down smash. Because he's doing a one-handed thrust as opposed to what we saw before, the two-handed swing. This looks to me like a different smash attack, and just given the angle and kind of how it's happening, I would say down smash. It's very interesting though to see like how much distance it covers. It's hard to tell because it's on stage. If it was off stage, you could see a little bit better. But it looks like it goes pretty far out and has pretty good launch distance. He also leans back a little bit, it looks like maybe. It's hard to tell because we don't really see him in his standing animation here. He might lean back just a little bit, but you could use that as a whiff punish, potentially, if you know that they're going to put out a smash attack. Just down smash to punish. Very curious to see how that'll work, or how far off stage that'll go. You can two-frame with it effectively, whether it will hit somebody hanging from stage. Need to see more of that. Then we go directly into this. This looks a lot like a charged side special. So you can see that he is leaning back and charging up. His hand is glowing. And then he goes into this special attack. So Ike getting caught as he comes in, lets it go. It looks like 8 slashes to me. His octa-slash technique, and part of why I was talking about the purple orb thing could have been a neutral special, because this looks very much like a side special to me. The fact that he's charging it up, and if you'll notice too, Ike is taking this hit. Ike is also somebody who has a chargeable side special. Could just be a little nod to giving you a hint as to what the move is, essentially. But hard to say. We don't know yet. Either way, this just looks so cool. Just 8 slashes, as quick as you can see. Hard to tell how far it launches. And it looks like it's going to have a pretty good amount of end lag after. But if you can, punish a spot dodge or something with it, crazy stuff. Another cinematic thing, you see Meteor coming down on Sephiroth, what I assume is Sephiroth's stage, and just the visual effect. And now this, so he's charging up a little spark, essentially. Just charging, and then releases it. And it looks very small, honestly. Kind of underwhelming. You see Shulk coming in with a backslash, Mega Man sliding in with the down tilt, and then they just explode. Hard to say what that is. I think my money's on it being a final smash. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't know for sure. But either way, looks cool. Looks like a good bait and punish for aerials. If it is a final smash, we won't see it much, obviously, in competitive smash play. But it's so cool looking. So from here we go into the cinematic, and you see Greninja and Bayonetta coming in and just anti-aired, no problem. And then Mario. Oh, let's talk about this for a moment, because this image was one of the coolest to come out of Advent Children. It's just Sephiroth stabbing Cloud through the chest and then lifting him up, holding him aloft with the sword. But finishing out the cinematic here, Mario sees that he's not actually dead. Cloud, the coward, comes rushing in from behind to attack Sephiroth, completely unprovoked, I might add. And then, because Final Fantasy VII is the story of Cloud, he activates his limit and uses it on Sephiroth to seal him once again. Omnislash version 5. So this is using Cloud's Buster Sword and all of the various blades contained within it to just slash the ever-living hell out of Sephiroth and seal him back away. Be very curious to see if Cloud's Omnislash gets replaced with that completely, or if it's something that happens only when he's fighting Sephiroth and triggers it. Homage to the end of Advent Children here, with the ending scene. Cloud telling Sephiroth, go back to his memories. Sephiroth responding, I will never be a memory. And then the last little bit, December 2020 is when Sephiroth will be coming to us. As of this video, it's December 10th. There are only 3 weeks left in December. Obviously, we know at this point Mr. Sakurai will be doing a Sephiroth video in 1 week's time. That means, at the latest, 3 weeks from now, we have a brand new fighter to play as, to play against, to be frustrated by, to be amazed by. The day he does drop, as soon as I'm able, I plan to stream my efforts with him in Elite Smash. I'm going to jump right into that, get him into Elite, and see how he does. Learn kind of trial by fire style. If he drops next Thursday, the 17th, I'm off work, so we'll go right from live streaming the new video into Sephiroth. If it's after that, we'll work it out around my work schedule. Either way, Sephiroth looks amazing. At the very least, in 1 week's time, we will watch some more of Sephiroth as presented by Mr. Sakurai. For now, at least, that'll do it. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you liked the video, let me know. If you disliked the video, let me know. If you have any comments or suggestions, pass it on. I'm Zephyr, a soon-to-be Sephiroth main in Smash Ultimate. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, keep you and your loved ones safe, distance this holiday season especially, and see you next time.